Am I the asshole for going off on my husband and his mom for keeping my used pregnancy test? F27, found out I was pregnant very recently. My husband, M34, and his family are beyond happy and excited. From what I heard, my husband was married 2 times before but couldn't have kids for 10 years. This is obviously a huge deal for his family because his mom will be a first-time grandma with this baby. They threw a celebration dinner for us, and as his mom and I were talking about the baby, she told me about how she already started making memories, started having keepsakes of her grandbaby. I felt a bit confused and asked if my husband bought something for the baby and gave it to her. She said no, but he did bring her my used pregnancy test and gave it to her to store as a memory of the news of her grandbaby's existence. I was floored. I looked at my husband like, "Did you really do that?" And he nodded while smiling. I felt creeped out, disgusted and very uncomfortable. After the initial shock, I just went off on both of them, calling what they did creepy and disgusting and highly violating. My husband argued that it was not a huge deal, he just grabbed the test once I got rid of it, put it in a plastic bag and gifted it to his mom as keepsake. I told him it made me feel violated and creeped out because that test had my literal pee on it. His mom then said something about taking care of the smell, and I lashed out even more and demanded they get rid of it, but they kept arguing, calling me controlling. Brother-in-law asked me to calm down, but I decided to just grab stuff and go home. My husband started arguing about how this is all just an overreaction and said that I ruined his and his family's joy by how I behaved after finding out about the pregnancy test. He said for him and his mom it's all about the baby, but I somehow made this whole thing about me and hurt their feelings in the process. But that was my literal pee on that test, and I just couldn't help but flip out even if it ruined their joy for the news. Did I overreact? I think I see why. At 34, you're his third wife. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. To do that without your go-ahead is bizarre. To double down and blame you for being upset is concerning. Decent people would get rid of it and apologize for making you feel that way, not try to make you feel worse. That for your husband and his mother, this is all about the baby, and he's angry you made anything about you, the person who is pregnant, that it's their feelings that matter to him while they dismiss yours. This lack of respect and consideration for you is worrisome. ETA. I've already given my judgment, so this isn't an info request. But do you know why your husband's previous marriages ended? Not the asshole. Also, those results on that test will fade over time, so not even worth saving. That's weird and sort of gross that your husband saved the test, and weirder still he gave it to his mom. Also, what's this all about the baby shit? Of course your pregnancy is about you too. Not the asshole. First grand baby after 10 years plus of waiting. Girl, there's a lot more in store for you. I wish you good luck. We may be seeing you here frequently, and in that subreddit with boundary-stomping mothers-in-law. From what you heard, he was married 2 times before. What do you even know about this man? That's not a normal thing to be unsure about. You did overreact. What's concerning is, from what I heard, my husband was married 2 times before but couldn't have kids. From what you heard. How well do you know this man? Am I the asshole for returning the money my husband took from my family for attending our cookout? For context, my F28 husband M33 comes from a wealthy family, and he himself has inherited a number of assets from his relatives. One of them is this huge house, where we live right now, with a pool and a huge backyard with lots of features. We decided to host our first cookout after we got married, 7 months ago, and we invited both his and my family. That was on Friday. Both families came and we had lots of fun, then everyone went home later. I then got a phone call from Mom and she didn't sound okay. She asked whether or not my husband took money from his family before they attended the cookout. I was confused. I asked what she was talking about and she told me that my husband charged every single person from my side of family who attended the event $25. I was utterly shocked and very angry and felt like this has legitimately damaged my relationship with most of my family because almost all of them came over. Not just that, but he got $275 from them. I was so livid I hung up the phone and confronted him immediately. He told me my family got to enjoy the space and view and said that I should think of it as a resort cookout since this house has lots of luxuries. I told him it was a horrible thing for him to do and that what made it worse is the fact that his family didn't pay like mine had to. He laughed, then reminded me that his family gave him this house. I demanded he give the money back, but he said no and that he won't even give it to me since the house is technically his. I went and took the money and gave everyone who paid their money back with a sincere apology from me. My husband found out and flipped out at me, calling what I did an overstepping and disrespectful. I told him he shouldn't have taken money from my family for being guests at our house, but he corrected me saying it's his house and said that he'd bet my family had never got to attend a cookout at a house like this and that it was just $25. But I disrespected him and went behind his back and took money that wasn't mine. We stopped talking after this argument and he keeps venting to his mom about me taking his money that he earned his own way. I hope this isn't a true story, because your husband sounds like the world's biggest awe. Needless to say, not the asshole. Your husband's reasoning makes no sense. Who charges people, let alone family, to come to their house and have a party? That's psychotic. Did his personality do a 180 after you got married or something? I can't wrap my head around you marrying someone who thinks so little of you and your family. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Don't you realize that you are a guest in that house? That is his home, not yours. So you are married? Big deal. What is his and what is yours is his. He keeps venting to his mom about me taking his money that he earned his own way. First, this might be the only time he has ever earned any money. Second, he isn't venting to mommy. He is crying to his mommy and involving her in things that are none of her business. This is just between you and him. By the way, mommy's boys never make good husbands. Hopefully, you do not have children, so the divorce should be pretty painless and you can easily block him and go no contact. If you think this is going to get better, think again. NTA. Divorce him and cut your losses. He sounds like a stuck-up and controlling jerk. You are married. That is your house too. Sorry for my English, but how many times will he have to say, my house, for you to understand he will never see you as his equal partner? How many times will he have to be disrespectful and condescending to your family, for you to see all the red flags he wave in front of you? Not the asshole? Not the asshole. Also, I'm pretty sure this relationship is going to head into abuse territory if it isn't there already. Alienating someone from their family is part of how an abuser gains control of them and makes them feel like they don't have anywhere else to go. Once you feel like you don't have anyone besides him, he will be able to treat you any way he wants and feel confident you won't leave. His lack of caring about your feelings on this also concerning. Am I the asshole for not forcing my foster kid to go to church? Note: I'm not in the US, so some things may be different. English isn't my first language. Throwaway. My wife, 35F, and I, 34M, have decided to be foster parents after not being able to have children. Our current foster child, Hope, is 15 and Jewish. We're Christian. My wife is really committed to her faith and won't hesitate to push it onto others. The past week, my wife would put crosses up in her room when Hope is elsewhere, and Hope would take them down, after I apologize for her behavior. Hope hates confrontation, and is a generally quiet girl. I have spoken to my wife about privately, and she believes she is getting rid of the Jewishness. I don't like it and I don't think it's right that she does this. When Sunday came, first Sunday that we've had her, my wife woke her up and demanded that she went to church with us. I heard this outside Hope's room, as our walls are not necessarily soundproof. Hope kept stammering, and I felt my wife was exploiting that. I stormed in and told my wife that she needs to respect Hope's religion, and let it be. She looked shocked, as if she expected me to take her side. She stormed out of Hope's room, grabbed clothes, took one of our cars, and is currently staying at my MIL's house. I told Hope she doesn't need to, and I would skip for that day to be with her. My wife is furious at me, and my in-laws think I'm in the wrong. My parents died in a house fire 10 years ago. I'm not sure about it. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your wife is trying to force a child in foster care to convert. How incredibly cruel to take a child in such an unstable situation and try to strip away her beliefs and by extension remove the way those beliefs can function as a connection to any past family or a sense of community. Your wife is literally every single red flag for why certain people should not be allowed to foster children. Not the asshole. And your wife is a bigot. You're not the asshole, your wife is. Religion should never be forced, and to be honest you acted like much more of a Christian than your wife has. Not the asshole, but how in the world are you qualified to be foster parents? It's bad enough to force religion onto a 15-year-old. I'm not even touching your wife's desire to get rid of Jewishness. But your wife was actually taking advantage of a teenage girl stammering? Someone who just got to a new home, is lonely and scared, and this woefully poor excuse for a Christian. You call your wife as taking advantage of her stammering. JFC You need to rethink the people you want to be with and count your blessings every moment your wife isn't in your house. Your wife is more than an asshole, she is a bigoted anti-Semite. However, you should have gotten in contact with the agency as soon as the first incident happened so that hope could be placed in a non-bigoted atmosphere. You are allowing this child to be housed in an abusive home. Am I the asshole for causing a walkout on a 3-yeo's birthday party? Okay, this sounds bad but hear me out. My 3-year was invited to her preschool classmate's birthday party at an indoor playground. We did arrive 10 late since we got lost trying to find the place, but we happened to arrive at the same time 2 other families, so it could have looked planned. The B-Day boy's mom was clearly irritated, because we missed a treasure hunt. There was no schedule given, so I didn't realize it would be a big of a deal if we were 10 minutes late, or I would have rushed more. We all did make sure our kids wished the birthday boy happy birthday and pass him his presents, but they immediately ran towards the train ride once they were done. Turns out the mom wanted to organize a group photo shoot with the kids, so she was annoyed they ran off. The kids then could do whatever they liked for maybe 10–15 minutes before we had to follow the itinerary we didn't realize we had. The kids had 2 group rides, which always came with a photo shoot before each ride. Then they were free to play for just another 5–10 minutes before they had to go for another photo shoot with the cake. Then the parents had to take photos. Our country still had indoor mask mandates, but we were told it's legal to have masks off for photos and were ordered to take off our masks. Then we had the cake cutting and another round of photos, before food was served. It hasn't even been 2h and we've had 4 photo taking sessions, taking up almost an hour. My daughter didn't want to eat and I could see she was losing it. Especially, since was a spread of beautifully decorated desserts that weren't offered to anyone at all, so I wouldn't let her touch them. I figured I should just leave before I ruin the party since we already had 2 meltdowns in the last 10 minutes, but my daughter leaving triggered her 2 friends asking to leave, which triggered even more kids demanding to leave. The party ended up getting cut short by 30 million. The mom is obviously pissed with me, and I agree I did ruin the party and I knew if my daughter leaves, there's a chance I'd trigger that snowball effect. And yes, I believe it's important not to expect society to cater to my child's whims and it's my job as a parent to make sure she behaves, but I think she had been doing an amazing job not running off and doing her own thing. I found the entire party stressful and not fun at all, so I figured my kid probably feels the same. So am I one of those entitled moms here? Edit. Just to clarify some things. The mom isn't an influencer, she has Instagram but it's private. My daughter didn't have a meltdown yet, it was 2 other kids. I didn't want her to be the third so I left. We did try to leave quietly, but my daughter's closest friend saw us and started yelling. I kind of expected it since the girls are in this inseparable phase where they have to do everything together. Not the asshole. Probably an Insta mom looking F for the perfect picture. My 3-year-old would have destroyed that party long before that. You left to stop a meltdown. Your kid's emotional needs come before a Pinterest mom's photo shoot. So not the asshole. This wasn't a child's B-Day party, this was some Instagram mom's photo op. The whole day sounds hideous to me as an adult, so I can't imagine how little kids with the attention span of, well, little kids, would feel about such a staged and choreographed B-Day party, and #X200B. P.S. When you left I bet every other mom thought, thank God. Now we can go. It's unreasonable to ask 3-year-old children to have multiple photo shoots and follow schedule that doesn't allow them to play. They are 3. Not the asshole, the birthday kid's mom seems like a helicopter mom and needs to chill out. Also, what activity starts and ends within the first 10 minutes of a 3-year-old party? So strange. You also aren't responsible for other kids wanting to leave because yours does. That's on those parents. We are all trying to do the best we can and sounds like that's what you did. Don't lose sleep over this one. Not the asshole who structures a toddler's birthday party that much. They are little balls of randomness. And it's cruel to display food to them for hours without letting them eat something. That is more for the parents to have bragging rights about how nice the party was. Wow. I have had birthday parties and I have had 3-year-olds and I have attended birthday parties and have never demanded nor dealt with that much performance. Not the asshole. They wanted a photo album, not a party. Not the asshole. You can't expect kids to follow an intricate plan at 3. I just had my son's 6th party and I let him and his friends basically run around until it was time for food. Then they ran around a bit more until it was time for presents. Then they ran around until it was time for his friends to go.